town hall.
We're going to take a quick look at the Spin Room at the Capitol Center for the Arts, where this morning's NBC Facebook debate just wrapped up. You can see here Senator Rick Santorum. Let's take a listen to what people in the back room here are saying.
Our plan here has always been just to run the race. I mean, we have no expectation of winning here. We have every expectation of just coming here, doing what every candidate should do, I believe, which is running every state in order, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to go down, and we've said from the very beginning that we thought that South Carolina was the place where we had the best chance of winning, and New Hampshire was simply to keep the process going.
So you giving up on New Hampshire?
No, I'll be back tonight. Actually, I'm flying down for the day.
Is Romney hard to stop now?
Absolutely not. I mean, I feel very, very good that we're in a great position to go into South Carolina with a lot of momentum. I think we had a great debate today. It showed the real inconsistencies and problems that Governor Romney will have as a general election candidate, and I think that's going to be something that people in New Hampshire.
Are the questions about your fiscal conservatism that have come up legitimate?
No, of course not. I mean, it's laughable that the entire attack against me was I was too conservative and too conservative across the board. He's too conservative to elect, and all of a sudden Ron Paul calls me a liberal, and I'm not a libertarian. I've said that repeatedly. I'm not a libertarian. I'm a conservative. I'm a Reagan conservative, and that if that's the vision of the Republican Party. That's where America is. It's common sense conservatism, and that's what I've always been for, and I stand by that record.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Got to run. I'm going to South Carolina.
Senator Santorum, can we get a word with WMUR?
Tell us a little about that comment that he was recounting for his father.
People watching last night. Yeah. Except for we lived in Detroit or New Orleans. That's also true. That's also true. Doing all right? I'm doing fine. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just got back from Hawaii. So did you? Yeah. Had a family vacation. Excellent. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm sure I'll see it out on the trail. Thank you.
Did very well in the debate. I think he presents himself very well and has some great leadership qualities. I think the arguments against him on Bain are false arguments. I think that's actually one of his assets, is that he was a leader in business. And personally, I think government needs to be downsized, and he showed a knack for it in the business world. I still want him to get second, not first, but
Why don't Republicans like him? Why aren't they sold already?
well, I think quite a bit. If you do up here, and he's polling at about 40% New Hampshire, 35% in South Carolina, so I think he's actually doing pretty well. I think really the competition is for the rest of the vote. The people who have gravitated to Romney, I think, know his record and have decided that that's acceptable to them. What we're trying to do is get part of the rest of the vote, and I think the rest of the vote are people who think that they want a more conservative candidate, who think they want a candidate who represents some of the ideals of the Tea Party.
Do you think Santorum's a small government guy?
No, I think he's supported so many big government programs, I have to try to think to remember all of them. I mean, Medicare Part D was the largest entitlement program since the Great Society, and leading up to Obamacare was the largest expansion of federal entitlements. His support for doubling the size of the Department of Education. I think it's hard to say you're a Reagan conservative, and Gingrich does the same thing, but Gingrich was also for doubling the size of the Department of Education. In fact, he traveled around with Al Sharpton promoting President Obama's agenda on education. Who's that?
You think he feels like he can get traction by going after?
I don't think they really get votes from him. Most of the people that gravitate to Ron Paul, I think, are staying there, and I think really that we can get some votes away from candidates who are sort of what I call fair weather conservatives. And I think we're getting some of them back as they learn more about Santorum's voting record on the economic issues.
Why won't your father address directly the third party business?
Well, Well, I think he kind of has, but he just decided how he's going to answer it, and that's the way he's going to answer it.
But I mean, he doesn't slam the door shut, which keeps the questions coming, as you well know.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think he'd do it?
I don't think he will do it. We're still hoping for first, and I think the route to getting first in New Hampshire is attracting independent voters. In Iowa, we doubled the independent turnout from 2008, and we won the independent vote 3-1. So I think we'll do quite well with independents here. Romney's also did pretty well with independents as well. But New Hampshire's a state, like Iowa, famous for letting independents vote. And so I think if we do well with independents, we can be either a strong second, and it would be a long shot. But I think we still have a long shot for first.
What's the campaign's pitch to take independence from the Romney camp to Paul's camp?
Well, I think that there is a difference, that we believe in a more reasonable, less reckless foreign policy. And I think that foreign policy attracts a lot of the young people you've seen at our rallies. And I think it also attracts independents because, I met 2 kids yesterday who had supported President Obama. We're proud of the fact that they actually support Ron Paul now. And so I think the idea that whoever's in charge, whoever's our commander-in-chief, who's going to be in charge of our nuclear arsenal, we want someone who's reasonable, not reckless, who understands that really the president doesn't have the unilateral power to take our country to war unless we're in imminent danger. So I think those contrasts...
So it's national defense.
Yeah, I think so. And some people, it's funny, many on the right say, that's his Achilles heel, he can't win the Republican primary. That's why he attracts all these young kids, is because his foreign policy is different.
He's getting a lot of college support, but what's his position on Pell Grants? Should he just get rid of them entirely? Does he believe there's a role for Pell Grants?
I don't know.
You don't know, but if you get rid of the Department of Education, who would handle that?
Well, we got rid of the Department of Education in my budget, and we kept Pell Grants and put them in another department.
Does he do the same?
I don't know exactly. He has a plan, and it's $1 trillion plan. I just can't remember every detail of the plan.
And that's what we're about. We're a campaign about ideas and uniting the country and moving forward.
What about the idea of insanity? He said the Republican Party is not a party right now that was sane. What did he mean?
No, he said he was about sane ideas, and that's who he is, and that's what this campaign is about. It's been about sanity. You know what? Governor Huntsman is not going to light his hair on fire. He's not about sound bites. He's about policy. He's about uniting, not dividing. And that's what you've seen from this campaign. That's what we'll do moving forward.
Matt, more than a few pundits on TV, including Fox, the last couple of days suggested Huntsman might run as a third-party candidate. Does he absolutely rule that out?
Absolutely rule it out.
How's he going to do Tuesday? What happens if he doesn't come in first, second, or third?
As I stated, when you start the race at 0, the margin of error candidate, we just need to beat expectations. The market's going to decide what that is. The voters, the pundits will decide what that is. Right now, if you look at the polls, we're heading in the right direction. 2 polls out today showing movement in the positive direction. When the Ron Paul campaign sends out 5 press releases attacking you before noon, it sounds like someone's nervous.
But he has said himself he needs to be in the top 3 to continue. Is that still the campaign's position?
He said repeatedly that we just have to beat market expectations, and I think that'll be decided by voters and pundits.
Can you go on to South Carolina, and what's the strategy going forward? You don't seem to have any ground game outside of it.
We actually have a fantastic ground game in South Carolina, led by Richard Quinn, a veteran of the state. We have a small staff there that has been working since the very beginning of this campaign. We've been to the state many times. We've been to the coastal area. We've been to the central part of the state, the Midlands. We believe that we can compete there.
Do you think that Governor Huntsman's been too timid or maybe not forceful enough in trying to differentiate himself from other candidates so that voters see what the true difference is?
As I said earlier, Governor Huntsman's style, who he's about, it's not about lighting his hair on fire. It's not about sound bites. It's about policy. It's about substance. It's about ideas. It's about uniting this country, not dividing it. And that's what you saw tonight. When you talked about the trust deficit, we have 2 in this country. We have a trust deficit when it comes to our institutions in Congress. We have a trust deficit when it comes to Wall Street. He spoke to both of those and I think identified himself as a person that can close the deficit. Again, he is who he is. He's driven by policy, and sometimes that doesn't get you the sound bites, but he's true to himself. He doesn't contort himself. He doesn't flip-flop. He's not going to change on the issues. He's not going to be Mitt Romney and say what the crowd wants to hear. He's going to be himself. And at the end of the day, I think New Hampshire voters are going to reward him for who he is and how hard we fought in the state. Over 160 events we've done across the entire state. We've worked this state harder than anyone else, and I think you're going to see what happened in Iowa. You may see something similar here in New Hampshire.
Where do you think he's going to finish?
We'll see.
And this is the Spin Room at the Capitol Center for the Arts. We're in Concord, New Hampshire, catching the...
I think that shows some nervousness on their side and the fact that things aren't